Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hi. Welcome.
Yeah, Matt Connarton. This is you, right?
This is me.
Yeah, thank God you're on the air. I didn't know who to talk to.
Uh-oh.
It's Jeff Kassel.
Oh, Dr. Jeff Kassel, how are you?
Oh, I'm having a really bad day.
Oh, no, what happened?
Yeah. Well, next year I'm going to be 75 years old. I told you that, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. So you'll be as old
Hey, it's not a good number. It's not my favorite number.
You'll be as old as John Hopwood at that point.
Yeah, but the way I look at it, with his life, there's hope, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a little optimistic, but yeah, probably, I guess. Sure.
Yeah, well, let me tell you about my day. I got up early because I made an appointment to get my car inspected at the usual place. The guy treats me right. Never had big bills until today.
Mm-hmm.
And I only drive my car about, maybe 2,000 miles a year.
Yeah.
I don't work anymore. I'm retired. I stay in the house. I try to avoid people as much as I can.
Yes.
And the same guy inspected my car last year. I think he fixed a light.
Yeah.
He claimed there was a light out. I hadn't noticed it, but it was a small charge. And, of course, every year on the month of my birthday, I've got to get my car inspected. I mean, you've gone through it, right?
Of course. Every year.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I always dread these encounters.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
With these car repair guys.
Yeah.
I dread it.
Yeah.
And with good reason.
Oh, hang on, Jeff. Hang on. Let's have a cliffhanger because we have a scheduled guest who's going to be calling in a minute. So why don't we?
Okay. Should I just hang up and do this some other time?
Can you call back in the second hour of the show? We'll have a little cliffhanger here. Don't tell us what happened.
Okay.
Don't tell us what happened yet. But if you can,
I won't.
If you can,
I won't. I'll get off the phone so you can continue.
All right. Call,
and you can talk about what you have planned.
Call back in the second hour.
I'll just sit on this massive anxiety attack for another hour.
All right.
Maybe I can take a pill or something.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Jeff. All right. That is Dr. Jeff Kassel. He's going to hopefully call us back. Oh, poor guy. Poor guy. So he left us with a cliffhanger. He went to get his car inspected and, Dr. Kassel, if you're listening, you can call back now. You don't have to wait till the second hour, 603-250-6007. We were left with a cliffhanger. Dr. Kassel taking his vehicle to get inspected. Truly one of life's great joys, is it not? It's like, actually, it kind of ruined birthdays for me because I can relate to that anxiety. I always feel a lot of anxiety going to get a vehicle inspected. It's like, when you're a kid, birthdays are fun, right? You get some presents, you're another year closer to independence and whatnot, or some form of it. But when you're an adult, it's like, oh, great, I get to register and inspect my car. Happy birthday to me. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Yeah, it's Jeff again. I took the pill. It didn't work.
Well, you might have taken...
I'm all torqued up now, over the inspection day.
You might have taken the wrong...
day every year.
You might have taken the wrong pill.
You bring your car in.
You got to make sure you take the correct pill, Dr. Kassel. What pill did you take?
Well, you're right. I take a lot because I'm elderly, We got to take pills to stay alive.
Oh, right. Yes. Well, of course.
Let me tell you, I really needed to talk to somebody. You were busy. You were talking to your rock and roll guy. So I called the station. I got Father Bruno's email address. I emailed him.
Yes. Did you ask him to pray for you and your car and your inspection?
Well, I'd already gone to the car inspection place, where I go.
Yes.
And it didn't go very well, I got a little overheated. The exchange between me and the mechanic.
The car is what's supposed to overheat, not you.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you look at it this way, Matt. And I'd love to hear some thoughts from other viewers because I've been in this state now for many, many years.
Yes.
And I remember when we used to have 2 inspections a year, so you were going to get ripped off twice a year instead of just once a year, which is what we've got now.
I remember that. I'm probably just barely old enough to remember, but I do remember being a young urchin, a wee lad, when they had the inspection stickers where, it was every 6 months, and it was almost like those, like you pull the tab on the, those flyers you see at the supermarket where it's like, do you need a babysitter? Pull this thing, this little, I don't know. I'm not explaining it correctly. Never mind me. There's a reason.
Well, anyway, the point is you had to get 2 of them a year.
Right.
So these, the car inspection thing, have you ever read anything about it in other states, Matt? Are you up on this stuff?
Well, here's what I know, and it's very interesting to me, and actually very surprising to me. But from what I understand, in states where there is no state inspection, they actually have no more accidents statistically than they do in states that do have inspection, which is always very much surprised me. Granted, in states where there is no state inspection, you'll see some things. Like when I was a kid, I would spend the summers with family in Illinois because that's where my mom is from. And when my parents split up, she moved back there. So I'd spend the summers out there. They had no state inspection. And I would see things on the road that literally looked like they were held together with duct tape and Elmer's glue and Bondo, but there was no state inspection. But from what I understand, it doesn't make a difference, which I've always found very, very surprising.
Why is that, Matt? Why do you find it surprising?
I would think it would.
It's not surprising, Matt.
I would think it would.
Because this whole state inspection, this car inspection thing, it's a racket. It's a racket, and the states that have it, and actually, it's not even half the states in America that have it. It's something like 16 to 17 states. The rest of them have gotten rid of it.
I didn't know that.
You're absolutely right. There's no correlation between accidents, injuries, fatalities, insurance rates between states that have inspections versus states that don't have inspections. There's no correlation of any of that.
Well,
there's a very good reason for that.
That surprises me that such a low number of states.
That's a very good reason, Matt.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's not the cars that's the problem. It's the people driving the cars. It's kind of like the gun argument.
Right.
Let's get rid of the guns, but the real problem is the people that shoot the guns.
Mm-hmm. Well, So.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So anyway, I flunked. I flunked today, as I knew I would, because I go through this every year.
Really?
It's kind of like, April coming down on you, and you have to make sure you get your taxes in.
Right.
Yeah, and then you're worried. You're going to leave something out. Are they going to audit you? Are they going to send you a letter? There's a lot of anxiety. And when you're old, like I am, you get a lot of anxiety, so you got to take pills.
You did mention the pills. You're very focused
on I take them all the time. I got to be on pills.
I
got a pill for everything.
Really? Well, how many different pills
anyway,
do you take?
After this thing happened, I contacted Father Bruno. Let me tell you, I don't have much respect for the guy. He's a big Trumper. He thinks the Trump is like God's gift to America.
Oh, yeah.
And, I'm not buying all that. I know all about Donald Trump. You just have to watch him for one day and listen to him tell 23 lies, and you know where he's at.
Right.
But I just wanted to feel a little bit better about flunking this car inspection, and I told him, that the guy wanted to fix my brakes, even though I had my brakes fixed 5,000 miles ago.
Oh, yeah, you shouldn't need brakes again already. By the way, I just want to clarify for anyone listening, Jeff said flunking with an L, F-L-U-N-K-I-N-G. I just don't want to get in trouble because I don't want anyone to misunderstand.
Oh, you thought I used the F word.
Well, no, I didn't, but someone else might have thought that you did.
You're very, very paranoid about that, Matt.
And
I really don't understand.
I am very paranoid.
Why the radio stations and the TV stations are worried about people using words that nearly everybody uses every day.
Maybe
it's hypocritical, isn't it?
Maybe there's a pill.
But that's another issue. I'm not getting into that today.
Right.
I'm getting into the thing with Father Bruno. You know what he said to me?
What did he say?
He wrote back in an email. He said, I feel very bad for you, my son, but I'm checking the records here, and I noticed that you haven't tithed for the last 53 years.
Uh-huh. Right.
Yeah. Tithe, you're supposed to give something to the Catholic Church
10%?
every year, like 10% of your income.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are supposed to.
So he's in on a racket, too.
Well,
yeah, that's the whole. I mean, I'm not even a Catholic.
Right.
I was just looking for a few kind words. Maybe he'd say, it's going to be better tomorrow. You sleep on it, you're not going to feel something. But I'm just getting worse.
Well,
maybe you're right. Maybe I took the wrong pill. I don't know. Maybe I took that pill that keeps you up instead of the pill that calms you down.
Right. Well, maybe it's time for you to go. Maybe you should go to church with Father Bruno. Maybe you need Jesus.
You think if I prayed a little harder, I'd pass these auto examinations?
Well, maybe.
Well, as you were listening to this rock and roll, and I'm not a big fan of rock and roll because I'm old.
Well, it is the devil's music. Let's be honest.
Rock and roll in my day was like Frank Sinatra,
right?
Tony Bennett,
right? And then
these were people that we're not talking about killing cops and hose on the street and all that.
Well, that's not really.
They talked about things that most of the rest of the world could relate to, like love.
Right, but then Elvis came along.
Not many songs about hate. Maybe now there are, but I think there are. I think the rap songs now it's about hate and killing cops and things like that.
Well, that's not rap. It's different than rock.
When I was around, it was about love and how love is great and it's a many splendored thing.
Right.
But I wasn't feeling much love today from that mechanic.
Right. Well, I understand.
Let me tell you what happened.
Yes.
He said the brakes were bad, and I said, well, what's wrong with them? I had them done 5,000 miles ago.
Yeah.
He said, well, the brake pads aren't, they're not hitting the disc right.
Right.
I said, well, yeah. I said, I drove up here. I stopped at red lights. I had no problem.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that those calipers or the pads, they're hitting that disc.
Uh-huh.
But my car stops, no problem.
Right.
He said, well, it ain't right. I said, let me see it. He said, unfortunately, we just took it off the lift.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah. You know how long it was on that lift? About 30 seconds. He came out in 30 seconds and said, you flunked.
And you know
we
what?
can't pass you on this car.
Actually, Jeff, and you know what's weird? So usually whenever I've taken a vehicle and they've said, okay, well, here's what's wrong with it, whether it's an inspection or other circumstances, they don't bring it down and then tell you. They say, here, let me show you. They leave it on the lift so they can show you, so you'll believe.
I made him put it back on the lift.
You did? Oh, okay. So you made him.
Yeah, then maybe it was never off the lift. Maybe he just said that. I mean, these days you can't. I mean, do you have a high level of trust in people out there, Matt?
Well, I get very paranoid when it comes to, because I'm kind of in the same boat that you are. Like they see a guy like me coming a mile away. I don't even know how to change the oil. I do know how to change an air filter, but that's only because it doesn't require tools. Once you bring in tools, I'm like, what is this? Like, what?
I'm not like that. I used to work on cars. I used to change oil. I've changed brake pads. I know how to do it, but
yeah.
I'm an old guy now. I got gray hair, what there is of my hair.
Sure.
And it's like I got a target on my forehead as soon as I walk into a place.
Right. Yeah. So we're kind of in the same boat. My boat is more ignorance, and yours is has to do with your age.
Stuff.
But yeah.
I mean, aren't you a little worried about getting ripped off when you have a problem? Like, you know, for example, 2 weeks ago, I hired a guy to take out a cast iron tub and put in a shower in my house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know this guy can do it. He's actually been in my house before.
Yeah.
And I always paid him at the end of the job, And he got the tub out, and he would come by for like 2 hours every week to do a little bit more. And so my bathroom is disabled, for now it's been 5 weeks. But at about 2.5 weeks, he demanded $1,000. I said, all you've done is take the tub out.
Right.
This It's 85% of the work. You have to put something. He said, I need that $1,000. I'm not going to continue. It was a holdup.
Yes, it was a quid pro
You know,
quo.
maybe he had 7 hours into it.
Right.
I don't think that much, though.
Wow, that's it, huh? And he wanted
And
a grand.
then he said, and then he started writing me letters after I refused to pay the $1,000. I said, finish the job, okay?
Yeah.
And and I'll pay you what we agreed on, which was $1,700 to do this. And he does work like this. He used to work in apartment complexes. They'd swap out tubs. And he said, no, I got to have $1,000 right now. And I said, well, I ain't going to do it. And, when we started this, you said it would be done in 2 days, and here we are 2.5 weeks, and I have a disabled bathroom.
Oh, wow.
And unfortunately, I had another bathroom with a shower in it, so I could, shower in that other bathroom.
Right.
But then the handle came off the shower in the one remaining bathroom.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, wow, I can't shut the water off.
Oh,
no. The handle's off, and the water's on, and I don't know what to do. And I go down to the basement, I get a wrench, and I turn it off that way.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the handle. It's plastic.
Yeah.
It's a plastic handle. It's not even metal.
Well, everything's cheap.
Of course, it's going to break.
Yes.
And so I called the plumber.
Yeah.
Came over. He said, well, I hear you got a shower problem here. I said, yeah, the handle came off. I don't have another handle. It's kind of hard to turn. I had to turn it with a wrench. Maybe you can do something. He looked at it and he said, that's a Simpson or whatever the name of the valve was. He said, we got to take that out. They're no good. I said, you still there, Matt?
Oh, I'm still here, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of beeping going on. Are you recording this?
This is being, yes, this call is being recorded, Dr. Kassel. Be careful what you say.
Oh, you should have told me that before, because maybe these car repair guys or the plumbers are going to start coming after me now.
Well,
maybe they're going to vandalize what's left of my car.
A lot of them do listen to the show. Just don't give your address.
Yeah. Okay, so let me continue.
Yes.
So he said, we got to take that out. And I said, well, do you have a replacement? He said, no, I don't have a replacement. I said, why don't you look at it to see maybe there's a part you can replace it with, or maybe you can free it up. He said, I don't need to free it up. I'm a plumber. I said, you look like you're 17 years old. He said, well, I'm 24. And I've worked on these valves before, and you just got to take them out. They're no good. And I said, well, how long is that going to take? He said, well, we can't take it out through the front because the hole ain't big enough. We got to go through the wall in the back.
Oh, jeez.
I said, you got to go through the bedroom wall on the other side of the bathroom? That
sounds
expensive. He said, yeah, it's going to be $1,500.
Oh, my God. Jeez.
I said, you haven't even looked at the valve. You don't know what's wrong. He said it's $1,500. So I got like I got today, with the, I was trying to control myself, trying to, remain calm, stay polite, but I said, wow, this is another holdup.
Yeah. Do you trust, do you trust the plumber? Do you think he was being honest with you?
Well, let's put it this way. Did I think Father Bruno, when he demanded 53 years of tithing, did I think he was being honest with me? Matt, I'm a friggin' Jew. I'm not even a Catholic. How does he have those records?
Oh, well, if he's connected to the big guy, and you know who I mean.
Yeah, well, I'm not buying it.
No. Okay.
Everywhere I turn, somebody's trying to take advantage of me because I'm old.
Well.
And I'm tired of it. But, the state inspection, by the way, to finish the plumber story,
yes.
I called another plumber.
Yeah.
After that guy left.
Second opinion, yeah.
And I told him the story. He just started laughing.
Really?
His name is Jim Trombley. Big plumber in town. Been here forever.
Yeah.
And he started laughing. He said, that valve you're talking about, those valves never break, he said. They haven't changed anything in that valve for 60 years, he said, and every one of our trucks has the replacement parts for that valve.
Oh.
And I'll send somebody over, and they'll fix it for you.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, okay.
And it was fixed in 30 minutes.
Wow, no kidding. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
so was the first plumber running a racket on me? Absolutely. Absolutely. Wherever you turn, somebody's going to try and take advantage of you.
Right. Well, with plumbers,
you're young.
You got to look for the
crack.
crack.
You don't have a target on your head like I do. I got gray hair.
Well, I do, though. I do have a target. I have a different kind of target because, like I said, I am mechanically.
How would they know that?
Oh, they can tell, Dr. Kassel. They can tell. The auto mechanics, they see a guy like me coming a mile away. They can smell it. They can smell the incompetence. They know.
Well, I came home. I didn't take a pill. I tried, I whispered my mantra to myself for about 30 minutes. I can't tell you what it is because you're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
When you get the mantra.
Okay.
Transcendental meditation,
I have heard that.
You can't tell anybody your mantra.
I've heard that. Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's not allowed.
Yeah.
But it didn't work. I tried to calm myself down. I did the mantra thing over and over, 20 minutes, no relief.
Wow.
In fact, I think I got a little worse.
Oh.
And then I called up Department of Motor Vehicles.
Okay. You actually called the government on your own volition.
I called the government.
Wow.
Now, I have a long history with government.
Yes, you do.
I have sued government.
Yes, you have. You do.
Yeah.
Yep.
That lawsuit was in federal court for years.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a lot out of me, Matt.
I bet.
It took a lot out of me.
I bet.
Standing up to the federal government.
Mm-hmm. But you did it.
I did it.
You did it.
I actually won.
And you won.
Yeah, and they retired me just to get rid of me, and they gave me a small suitcase full of money.
Do you mean literally or figuratively?
I mean literally.
They actually gave you a suitcase?
Well, I mean, they didn't give it. No, it was a check. It wasn't in a suitcase.
Because that would be awesome, actually. If they gave you an actual suitcase full of money, that'd be great.
I called DMV today.
Yeah.
And I forgot what these government employees were like. It's been a long time since I was in government. I actually was a federal whistleblower.
Yes.
And it got pretty dangerous. And I was actually getting threats on my life. In fact, somebody stabbed me. Some person came into my office, grabbed a government pen, and stabbed me in the throat with it.
Oh my God!
So it was getting pretty hairy.
Well, yeah,
I'm not going to go into the details of it because I don't want this stuff starting again. Let it suffice to say that the threats were so bad coming in on the phone and in the mail that I put security lights all over my house.
Yeah.
That would, if a gopher walked on my property, these lights would turn on. There was a lot of, complaints from the neighbors because, it was like, 50,000 watts. The place looked like Hiroshima.
Wow. Well,
I mean, you could see right through the wall. That's how it was.
Jeez.
And so, but that ended. That's another story.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how can I intervene? Because I don't think I'm the only one that gets taken advantage of in these car inspections.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Do you dread the inspection month?
Yes. Well, now that I'm driving,
maybe dread's too strong.
Now that I'm driving a newer vehicle, it's not as worrisome. But you know what? I used to for a long time. I had a mechanic that I really trusted. John Heichel.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Now, John unfortunately closed his shop and moved to Maine. But for a long time, I would go to John because John I trusted. But I would have terrible anxiety if it was, during periods in my life where I didn't personally know a mechanic that I knew I could trust. Oh, yeah, the anxiety. I don't know if you heard me. I was talking about it earlier before you called back on the show about how, I learned to hate birthdays for that reason. Because when you're a kid, birthdays are fun. You get cake and presents and whatnot. When you're an adult, birthdays are terribly anxiety-inducing because you have to inspect your car, and it's
exactly
awful.
Matt.
It's awful.
And the more I thought about this, the more upset I became. And so by the time I got to the functionary at DMV answered the phone.
The functionary.
I don't remember her name. It was a woman.
Yeah.
And the call didn't go well. Didn't go well, Matt.
Well,
she said, "Well, you have the ability to go to another station, and maybe they'll pass your car."
Right.
I said, there's nothing wrong with my brakes. Why do I have to go to another station? Why do I have to keep running around to find somebody that's honest?
Right. Well,
now when they put the car on the lift today, I took a look at it. And he showed me on the disc, if the car's on the lift, you can see the disc. And there was a shiny part of the disc, and then on the rim of the disc, on the edges, there was a little bit of rust, some oxidation, right?
Yeah.
Where the caliper or where the brake pad doesn't touch the disc.
Right.
So right in the middle, there's 2 inches where the brake pad's hitting that disc. And I said, well, what's wrong with that?
Right.
He said it doesn't hit the entire disc. I said, I put on brake pads. They don't cover the entire disc. They're about 2 or 2.5 inches long. And he said, I'm not going to argue with you about this. Okay, so I got the car back, and I gave him his $40 because they did 30 seconds of work. Plus, I made him put it on the lift again.
Yeah.
Probably should have tipped him. And then and then I got the call to DMV, and I'm talking to some woman, and she told me that I could. She said, "Well, maybe you'd like to write a letter." I said, "No, I wouldn't like to write a letter." I said, "What I'd like to know is how many complaints like this you get in a year in your office."
That would be interesting to know. Yeah.
Yeah. And she said, "Well, I can't give you that information, sir." I said, "Why the hell not?" And then she said, "Sir,
you'd have to
I don't like the way you're talking to me."
You'd have to file a FOIA request.
That's the way to get, if you express any irritation with some idiotic answer,
right?
They say, I don't like the tone of your voice.
That's the out.
It's almost like being married. You know what I'm saying?
I've never been.
I said, okay, I get it. She said, you can write me a letter, and I'll give it to the proper people, and maybe,
yeah, that sounds promising.
Maybe, the right to know law will allow this information to be given to you in written form.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'd like to talk to somebody who's more important than you at DMV, please. Your supervisor or his supervisor. Just somebody that will give me a straight answer here. I want to know how many complaints there are about these inspections.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, I'll let you talk to my supervisor. So I waited like 10 minutes. And then somebody comes on the line, same thing. Same thing, Matt. You can't get anywhere with these people. And you know why?
Right. Why?
You know why?
Why?
Because they're all in on it, Matt.
Well, yes.
They're all in on it. They're all getting paid.
Well, really, they're part of the deep state, if you think about it.
Yeah, well.
And I'm actually, I know I sound like I'm being flippant,
I'll let Donald
not.
Trump worry about attacks from the deep state. I'm nobody. I live on Appleton Street, which nobody can even find, and I don't understand why the deep state would be interested in me.
Right.
They didn't call me. I called them.
Well,
in all fairness,
I know why the deep. I know why
they're in on it.
I know why the
so
deep state.
I asked the supervisor the normal question.
Right.
When you realize that they're part of the racket.
But I know why the deep state would be interested in you, because you call into the show and you disparage our exalted hero, Donald John Trump. And
I'm not exactly an ambassador from Ukraine.
Right.
I almost said the Ukraine.
Right.
But I stopped myself because it's not the Ukraine.
That's right. That's correct. Yes.
So many of these commentators, the ignorance in America is really, it's hard to wrap your mind around.
Yes.
Some politician says, well, we went to the Ukraine to get dirt on a political enemy. It's not the Ukraine.
Right.
It's not the America. It's Ukraine. It's America.
Right. Yes.
But I digress here. I'm digressing. So I talked to the supervisor. I asked her the question. I said, you're all in on it, right? And she said, well, what do you mean, sir? I said, well, the car inspection guy is the same guy that's going to fix my car, so he's got a financial interest in flunking me, right? She said, well, I wouldn't put it that way. And I said, well, how's he going to make money? he flunks my. I got a perfectly good brake system in the car.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the calipers. There's 2.5 inches where the brake pads are hitting the disc. I can see it. It's very obvious. Then I looked on the other front brake. Same thing, exactly the same amount. I said, "What's the problem?" And they said, "There's a problem. The state mandates that the brake pad has to cover the entire disc."
Yeah.
And maybe that is the state law. I have no idea. So, I'm talking to the supervisor, and I said, "Well, you seem to be defending this mechanic." She said, "You don't have much trust in people, do you, sir?" And I said, "I'm 75 years old, and I went to college with Donald Trump, and I watch this guy every day on TV tell 23 lies. So the answer is no. I don't have much trust in anybody, including you, because I think you're in on it, hon. I think you're in on it." And she said, "Don't call me hon."
Oh, yeah.
I said, "Okay, I'm sorry."
Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
I said, "I'm sorry," and so I asked her. I said, "How much money are you getting?" She said, "Are you asking my salary?" I said, "It's public information, isn't it? You're a government employee. How much are you making?" And she said, "Sir, I don't really want to continue this conversation. Quick." That was the end of it.
Oh, by the way,
I called you.
By the way,
and
Jeff,
then you stalled me with the rock and roll guy.
Yes, the rock and roll. I just looked up. Now, this really surprised me. I wasn't sure you were accurate when you said this, but you were. Only 15 states currently have a state inspection. Now, that's not including emissions. Most states now have emissions. But the safety inspection, only 15 states have it. I didn't realize it was that few. I always assumed that most states had it, and it was just a handful of states like Illinois, Florida, and a few others that didn't. But apparently only 15.
Oh, no, less than half the states have it.
Yeah, way less than
and
half
it's a
the
racket.
states.
It's blatant racketeering, and the states themselves are collaborating in the racket. And you know why? Because there's a lot of money involved.
Yes. You know what
You start adding up those car repairs, that $40 for inspection or $50 or whatever it is, it turns into a lot of money. I mean, how many vehicles are there in the United States? 300 million?
That I don't know. But
you count the trucks, I'm sure it's 300 million.
Oh, probably.
Let's say it's 200 million.
Yeah.
There's 200 million adults in the United States, right?
I don't know. Probably, yeah.
But let's say it's 200 million. 200 million times 40. What's that number?
Oh, I'm terrible at math. You should know better than ask me math questions.
You're terrible at math. You're terrible with tools. You're terrible at getting... What are you good at, Matt?
Well, I'm in afternoon drive radio. But...
Okay. You're a shock jock. Yeah. Anyway, so, I got hung up on by that state employee.
Yeah.
She's probably making $50,000 a year, talking nonsense, defending the honesty and good character of car mechanics.
Yes.
I don't think you watch TV, but I'm old. I watch TV. I got 500 channels,
500 channels?
Like every
wow.
other normal American. And sometimes I watch 60 Minutes of these 2020 shows where they do exposés.
Yeah.
And they'll take a new car, and they'll have a little problem with it. Like they'll take one of the cables that's attached to a spark plug or something. They'll take it off, so the car looks like it's not running too well.
Yeah.
And then they'll take it to 10 repair stations.
Right. Yeah.
And 8 out of those 10 repair stations will give them an estimate that's, wildly exaggerated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And highly disproportionate to what's wrong with the car.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes, they'll squirt oil places and they'll say, "Oh, you got a leak here," And so, they have cameras inside the cars that are taking pictures of all this as they're trying to rip people off. I mean, I don't understand why anybody would trust a car mechanic. Unless, he's a relative or something.
Right. That's why I was so brokenhearted when John Heichel closed up his shop. I was like, that was...
Well, maybe, when you get your car repaired these days, it costs about $100 an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, everything costs a lot of money now. So I'm asking you, as a consumer,
Yes.
I'm just trying to drive my car,
Yeah.
Mostly I just drive my car to the liquor store. That's about it.
Right. Yeah, you don't put a lot of miles
I don't eat much,
on it. Right.
I can walk to Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
And that's where I get most of my food, but I have to drive to the liquor store.
Right.
And, I'd be terrified if I'm driving my car without a sticker, right? You got to have the right color sticker on your car.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Oh, well, although with those new stickers that are smaller and sit in the corner, I wonder if it's more difficult for I've always wondered this. Well, since they had the new stickers, if it's more difficult now for law enforcement to really be able to see whether your car is inspected or not, especially at night. I don't know how they can see those stickers in the corner at night.
Well, it sounds like you have a little larceny in your blood. You'd like to get some kind of fake sticker, so you could put it on there and get through this. You wouldn't have to pay that $40 or $50 every year. Well, it's like a tithe, right?
Right.
They extract a pound of flesh. Now, when you, I'm old enough to remember when it used to cost like $20 to register your car here.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, man.
Oh, those days are gone.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I don't drive a new vehicle. My car's a 2011.
Yeah.
But it's only got 35,000 miles on it because I only drive 2,000 miles a year.
Wait a minute. It's only got 35,000 miles on it, and they're telling you that. Oh, jeez.
The brakes are shot, which I had fixed 5,000 miles ago.
A car with 35,000 miles on it, they shouldn't even need to put it on the lift. You ought to be able to drive it in, and they say, "Oh, it's got 35,000 on it. We'll just slap this sticker on it. You're good to go, Dr. Kassel." 35,000 miles.
I mean,
that's it. Wow.
There are things that happen. I mean, it's 8 years old. Maybe some lights are out. Maybe the windshield wipers aren't perfect. Things go. But windshield wipers. When you're talking about a brake job, what are you talking about? New calipers, new rotors. What are you talking?
Oh, I don't know.
You're talking $300-400.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot cheaper than.
So I mean, I got a target on my head. I'm in there, and it's time to open your wallet and shovel money at getting brakes that you don't need. So I'm thinking, what can I do to stop this ripoff? I mean, given the many studies that have been done on car inspections and how they make no difference in fatalities, in accidents, in insurance rates, there's no correlation whatsoever.
Which really does surprise me.
It shouldn't surprise you because the problem isn't the vehicle. Nobody sane drives a vehicle with no brakes, right? I mean, maybe somebody tries it once, but they're so scared that they don't do it again.
You don't think this is the part that surprises me, though. You don't think that there's people on the road driving vehicles that they know aren't safe, but maybe they're in a circumstance where they just don't have the money?
I think most people that drive don't want to die, Matt. And people get killed in car accidents all the time, and everybody's aware of that. So, when you're pushing your brake pedal all the way down to the floor, I think people don't want to do that. That's pretty nerve-wracking. And the reason that the insurance rates aren't any different and the fatalities aren't any different is because it's a bunch of drunken drivers or people that are taking chances when they're driving. That's what causes the accidents. Or somebody looking at a cell phone. It's the driver. It's not the vehicle.
Yeah.
The vehicle is the excuse. And then, I'm talking to DMV today. They're saying, don't you want to be safe? And I said, my car is safe. There's nothing wrong with my brakes. She said, well, you have to have full contact with the pad's got to have full contact with the disc that to stop the wheel. I said it has full contact. The pad is not as wide as the disc is.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, is there? And you know what I did? I called up Victoria Sullivan.
Yeah. Why?
Who ran for mayor and used to be a state rep.
Right.
And I wanted to talk to her about a ballot initiative because I didn't even trust the people at the State House. I mean, they're the people that gave us this car inspection, and they keep increasing the number of hurdles that you have to jump over in order to get your car inspected.
Yeah. Although
they keep adding things.
There are bills, there are bills introduced from time to time to get rid of it. Of course, they never go anywhere. But
yeah, and now why do you think they don't go anywhere?
Well,
because there might be some corruption at the state level.
Could be.
That maybe they're not going to get a carton of Chivas Regal Scotch at the end of the year.
Well, I'm looking...
Or an envelope full of $100 bills.
By the way...
when you're talking about these big dealerships...
Yeah.
And, they got the dealerships, they have significant investments in their, their lots and their buildings and their... they all have like 10 lifts or 20 lifts in their garages. They got to keep people busy. They got bills to pay.
By the way, I'm looking at this map on vehicle inspection in the United States. This is largely a northeastern phenomenon. It's mostly in the Northeast.
Yeah. Well, there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's got to do with anything. Why it should be geographic, but. It may be geographic.
It seems to be. It appears
why
to be.
This is.
Yeah.
But this is Big Brother not protecting you. They don't really care about safety. They care about revenue.
Mm-hmm.
They care about the money. And government is in a coordinated attack on the average driver to extract money from him. And they do it by collaborating with insurance companies. They do it with these car inspections. And they do it with your car registrations, and then they got, you happen to be parked 15 minutes too long, and they got a cop or some meter maid down there that's going to give you a ticket. This is all part of a big racket.
I don't think we say meter maid anymore, Dr. Kassel. I think that's considered un-PC.
Is it really? Why would that be?
I'm not sure.
It sounds too much like housemaid. Is that
that
what
could
do they
be.
call them?
What do they call them?
Meter enforcers. It's gotten so crazy, Matt.
You can't say
it's
maid.
So crazy.
Yeah.
They're going to get you coming and going, and so I'm trying to think how to start a ballot initiative. And Victoria couldn't talk to me today. She's got an illness in the family, and she couldn't advise me. So I'm going to have to try to find somebody else. But I know Victoria, and I trust her.
Okay.
And she was very active in the State House. I think she was pretty high up in the hierarchy when she was there. And I'd like to have a ballot initiative where people can actually vote. Now, let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a vote, and if this became an issue in the election, how do you think it would go? Now, you knew that I was part of a ballot initiative a number of years ago to limit the amount of spending in this city, right?
Mm-hmm.
The so-called spending cap.
Right.
And that passed.
So you're talking about...
It was...
But your idea, you want a ballot initiative statewide, obviously.
About the inspections, getting rid of them.
Yeah. Well, we don't really do, but we don't do that.
Because it makes no material difference in fatalities and car crashes and insurance rates, so why do we have them? Other than to have the state rip us off for more money in coordination with all these car repair places.
Well, if you were to do it by a ballot initiative, or what would essentially be, what's the term?
Have people vote on it when they vote in the election.
Well, what do you call that?
When you're voting for governor, there'll be like a little thing at the bottom that said, eliminate car inspection.
I'm drawing a blank on
no?
what... There's a specific term, though, and I'm drawing a blank on what it is. Oh, referendum. Sorry. Because we don't do a lot of that.
Yeah, like a referendum, exactly.
We don't do a lot of that in the state. But if you were to do that, put that on there and do that via referendum, I think it would pass to get rid of state inspections. I think most people, like I said, it's ruined everyone's birthday. I think most people dread it. And I think most people would vote to get rid of it. So I think that's probably the only way you could get rid of it would be through ballot initiative, because, they're never going to vote to get rid of it in the state legislature.
Well, to their credit, the state legislature about 35 years ago did get rid of the 6-month inspection.
Well, that's true.
They went to once every year.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
So they did do that. As far as I know, there was no ballot initiative.
Yeah.
There was no referendum on the ballot. But I agree with you. I think, I think that I think it would pass.
Yeah.
Now, when we did the spending cap, we had to get 6,000 signatures to put it on the ballot. And ironically, all the Republicans, including Republicans in the city, like Ted Gatzis.
Well, we don't want to get too much in the...
And Frank Ginter, they refused to sign on to the spending cap, and Republicans are supposed to be against spending too much money, right?
Well, that's dead. The fiscal conservatism doesn't exist anymore. That's a
I mean, back 10 years ago,
even 10
that's what they all talked about. And if you ever watch an aldermanic meeting, you'll see the Republicans talk about the taxpayer like they care.
Right. Well, yeah.
And back in those days,
like they care.
They would argue about spending too much money on this or that.
Yeah.
And when this finally got on the ballot after going to the Supreme Court a couple of times, and all of these were government workers that were turning this down. The Attorney General was a Republican, Kelly Ayotte. She wouldn't let it go on the ballot. Several other people who were Republican wouldn't allow it on the ballot. It took 4 years to get it on the ballot, and then when it got on the ballot, it passed 60% to 40%.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, how did 40% of the people vote against trying to control spending? Why would they vote against that?
Right. Well, I think this would be a slam dunk.
Think this is a winner?
If this were done by ballot initiative, I think far more than 60% of people voting would vote to get rid of state inspections. I think it might be 80-20. It might be 90-10. I don't know. But overwhelmingly, people would vote.
But you think it would be a significant number of people that would vote to get rid of them?
Slam dunk. Who likes it?
Now, how could I possibly get enough media attention to promote this ballot initiative and get the proper number of signatures to get it on the ballot? What would be the way to do it? Because I thought about that, and I'm thinking, I need to run for governor on this.
Ooh. Interesting.
See, if you have a platform like that,
interesting.
Where you can actually attack things that are wrong in government. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're a legitimate candidate with a legitimate platform,
right,
like getting rid of regulation that doesn't make any sense, and which most people hate, I think you'd get a lot. Now, maybe you wouldn't become governor, but you would get attention from the Concord Monitor, the Manchester Union Leader, and you'd have to have a couple of other similar kinds of ideas about, how to make government cheaper so you protect the taxpayer, or you protect the people that have to register their cars. I mean, it's a giant ripoff. I bought a used car that was at one time very expensive. One of the most expensive cars in America. But I bought it 7 years old.
Yeah.
It cost me $500 to register it.
Yeah. Registrations are very expensive. Yeah.
Now I have a small 4-cylinder van. It's a Ford Transit Connect. When it was new, it probably cost $21,000. But it still cost me $150 to register it.
Oh yeah.
You get a license plate, and somebody's getting that money.
Yeah.
And why should it cost that much to register a car?
Yeah, registrations are much higher. They've gone up exponentially since I first started driving. I mean, I think when I first started driving, it would cost less than $100 to register a car. Of course, then again, when I first started driving, my first car was an '82 Mercury Lynx, so that might have something to do with it. But yeah,
are we getting any attention on this on your page, your Facebook page? Is anybody following this conversation at all?
No one's commenting.
I don't see anything here.
No one's commenting on
this.
But
I might be in the wrong section.
They're not commenting on this specifically, but I'd be very surprised.
Is anybody commenting on anything? There are Elizabeth Sava said something. Evelyn, no, I'm not. I don't think I'm getting the page. You getting any activity at all?
Yes. There's people in the Facebook live chat, but I think they're just listening. But I think
I would like to hear what other people think about this, because there are so many ways that as a vehicle owner, that you are vulnerable,
mm-hmm.
and I think this is a serious issue,
mm-hmm.
and I don't think government is out there trying to protect the average consumer. I think government is out there trying to get you money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't give them your money, they will turn your life upside down.
Right.
You ever been audited by IRS?
If I was, I wouldn't talk about it on the air.
Yeah. Well, I've been audited by IRS.
Yeah.
And that didn't go well.
Oh, we have the feedback you so craved. Mike Pelopita, who is a top fan, says the doctor is making great points. There you go.
Yeah. Maybe I can ride this all the way into the State House. We got up in my district, we've got Kavanaugh. He's the alderman, and he's also the state senator, I believe. And I don't like the way he votes. Kavanaugh voted to crash through the cap, the spending cap in the city, and so my taxes are going to go up about $100 a year. Which is, small potatoes compared to that $500 brake job. And they were just getting started. That was the first thing they looked at, 30 seconds, brakes, and who knows what else they would find.
Mike also says in the Facebook live chat, finding a trustworthy mechanic is tough. Yes, it is. That's why when you find one, you have to hold on to him. Sometimes I wonder if I should have devised some sort of plan to force John Heichel to stay in the area and keep his auto shop open.
Well, I don't know about John. You were a personal friend, so
yes.
Maybe he treated you a little bit different than he treated the average customer that came into his shop. Who knows? Everybody has to stay in business.
Right.
And what I've noticed is that even these small shops, which have much less overhead, they're charging as much as a dealership.
Really? Yeah.
To get a car repair, many of them.
Yeah.
And it kind of forces people to buy new cars because they're. But my car is not new, and I'm going to pursue this a little bit. It helped to talk to you about this. I am calming down a little bit, or maybe the Xanax is starting to kick in, or that triple scotch that I just finished. But I am starting to calm down a little bit. I don't feel this need to call up DMV now.
Are you?
Not that they're even open. It's 5:34. They leave at 4:30, right on the dot. There's nobody staying too late to work at a government agency.
Are you?
Have you ever been a government worker, Matt?
I have not. Are you supposed to mix Xanax and scotch?
Well, I'm staying in for the evening, so
okay.
I'm really not worried about having a problem with this. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. People will think I'm irresponsible with medicine. Maybe the doctor won't give me that Xanax anymore. Then I'd really be screwed, wouldn't I?
Yes. Then what are you going to do? Then how are you going to deal with the government?
Well, government is a problem. Maybe you don't feel that way. You feel like government's a problem?
Well, it depends. You're speaking very broadly. I think government's a necessary evil. I'm not like an anarchist, but I do think
you watched those government employees from NSA and the Department of State last week, right? You watched part of what they said?
Oh, the hearings, yes. I watched as much of it as I could. Absolutely.
Yeah. I used to work for the federal government.
Yes.
And as I alluded to it before, I sued the federal government in federal court.
Yes. And won.
And I never knew government workers that were as smart as those people that were testifying in Congress.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, when I started, having problems in my job as a federal employee, people that I sat down to lunch with every day, I'd sit down with them, and they'd get up and they'd go to another table. I became radioactive.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, and the people really didn't want to be seen with me, especially when the lawyers started getting into it. But those people that were in those hearings, they were as cool as could be.
Yes. Even though they're clearly never Trumpers and traitors and commies, probably.
Well, that's what Trump claims. But I'm pretty sure they are never Trumpers. They may not admit it,
right?
But they're never Trumpers in the sense that they don't want a psychopath running the country.
Right. Yes, and they have.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, we watched Trump fire the head of the FBI.
Yeah,
we watched him fire the acting head of the FBI one day before he retired.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. Donald Trump can be pretty retaliatory. This is a guy that is vindictive.
Yeah. Yes, I've noticed. Yeah.
And these people weren't a bit worried about that.
Right. Yeah.
I began to wonder.
And they still work.
Who was backing them up?
Some of them still work for him, like Vindman, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. He's still in his job. So Trump is trashing him on Twitter, and the White House is trashing him while he's still working there. He still technically works for the administration. Never seen anything like
Trump
it.
Trump fired somebody that was head of the Department of the Navy either today or yesterday.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And Trump has inexplicably pardoned people that were accused of war crimes and murder.
Mm-hmm.
So you do kind of wonder what's going on in this country, and why that lady. What was her name? The lady that spoke with a British accent. Do you remember? What her name was?
Fiona Hill.
Fiona Hill. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Fiona. That's kind of a Scottish name, isn't it, Fiona?
Is it? I don't know. I hadn't thought about that.
She looked very tough.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I do not think anybody would win an argument with that lady.
No, and they didn't really try either. I don't remember Jim Jordan yelling at her too much, because I think Jim Jordan does enjoy yelling at women, but he didn't really yell at her. Yeah,
I think he would have been on the losing end of that argument. She had a way. She had a certain presence.
Yes.
That it would be very difficult to attack.
Yes.
She really knew what she looked like she knew what she was doing. And so did all of the others. It wasn't just Vindman. It was these people putting their careers on the line.
Yeah.
Or quitting, showing character and quitting. I think Fiona Hill, she quit the job. But not that she'll have any trouble getting a job. And
right.
And they were actually quite insulting to the president without actually calling him any names.
Well,
and
yeah.
I knew a lot of government employees, and I'll tell you, inside government, the average government worker is terrified. They want to hang on to that job. You know why, Matt?
The pension?
Well, the pension's very good.
Mm-hmm.
People retire. If I had continued, working in my job in the federal government, I'd be making over $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And if you have 40 years in, you're looking at an $80,000 a year pension.
Oh, yeah.
For doing nothing.
Right.
And you're looking at 5 weeks of paid vacation.
Right. You're not sweating a break job.
And you're looking at 2.5 weeks of sick leave that accumulate. And how about all those paid holidays?
Right.
Actually,
it's not a bad deal.
If you work for the federal government, there's a lot of time off that's paid for.
Yeah.
So people protect those jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was very impressed with the courage that was shown by those people that testified, given what Trump did as he eviscerated the FBI.
Well,
he's fired a lot of people.
I need to ask you a question, though, just a hypothetical. Now, if you were still a federal government employee, would you refuse, as Ambassador Yovanovitch did, to hang a picture of our president, Donald John Trump, if you were required to do so? Would you refuse to do that?
I probably not. If for no other reason, then it would be a convenient dartboard at night.
Mm-hmm.
After people decided to stay after at work and have a few drinks.
Right. My.
The picture of the president, that's pretty normal in a U.S. embassy, and I've been in U.S. embassies in other countries, never in Ukraine, but I've been in U.S. embassies, and there's always a picture of the president.
Of course, yes.
And but it's now almost it's really shameful what's going on, with the president of the United States, and I think there's a lot of outrage, and the outrage at the U.S. State Department and NSA. I mean, those phone calls that Trump has, on his unsecured phone, everybody's complaining about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
NSA's got every one of those phone calls.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, they're in a data bank.
Yeah.
They know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so you get a criminal in the White House like Donald Trump, and the NSA is in a position to blackmail him. All they have to do is play back some of those phone calls, and Donald Trump, falls right into line, right?
Oh, not
I
just...
mean, there is some level of convenience having a criminal in the White House when you got a spy agency that's got every word he's ever said on a phone in a data bank.
Giuliani threatened him, by the way. Did you hear that?
Well, he said he's got kind of...
he's got insurance.
Get out of jail card. How did he put it?
He slipped it in. I'm looking for the clip. He just kind of slipped it in casually, saying that... talking about, would the president ever turn on him? And he just kind of... I think I found it. He just kind of casually slips in, I have insurance if he ever... Wait, here it is. Hang on, I found it.
Insurance, that's what he called it.
Let me play this really quick for people who haven't heard this.
President Trump in the last week or two, have you met with him? Are you still his counsel?
I do not discuss my conversations with my client. You can assume that I talk to him early and often.
Yeah.
And have a very, very good relationship with him. And all of these comments, which are totally insulting.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen things written like, he's going to throw me under the bus.
Right.
When they say that, I say, he isn't, but I have insurance.
Yeah, did everybody...
Okay, I get it.
He isn't, but I have insurance.
Actually, today I heard Donald Trump said that he barely knows Rudolph Giuliani. That he's only met him once or twice.
I don't know him.
He had a picture taken, and there was actually no conversation between them. And that's what Trump does to everybody, right?
I'm not even sure if it was real. It might have been a hologram.
Somebody worked as
it might have been a hologram.
As this undersecretary of state, and Trump barely knows the guy. An ambassador to the EU. I met him once, and I have no idea of who he really is. If somebody else approved that ambassadorship. This is the way Trump is. So, I mean, it's just a matter of time before Rudolph Giuliani goes down very hard. But you know what I really wanted to know?
What?
I really wanted to know what organization in the Department of Justice is going after those two Ukrainian Americans that were partners or clients of Rudolph Giuliani.
Yeah.
I mean, Attorney General Barr, Trump's insurance policy, and the DOJ.
Yes.
I mean, he quiets all that stuff down, doesn't he?
Oh, of course. He's working for Trump. He's
was
acknowledged.
He on vacation when the DOJ indicted those two guys?
Yeah, I wondered about that too.
Who are now ready to roll over on Trump?
Oh, yeah. I just love that. My favorite part of that whole thing is that one of them did run a company called Fraud Guarantee. I mean, it writes itself. It really is just incredible.
The whole thing, you can't make this stuff up. If this was a movie, people would assume it was fiction.
Right, I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I mean, this is happening in real time, and 40% of America loves every minute of it. They can't wait to get into that voting booth and vote for Trump again.
Oh yeah,
they love it.
They do. I think he has an excellent chance at winning a second term. Everybody who voted for him. Everybody voted for him.
I got to call my state rep, who's a fireman. I think there are two firemen that are state reps, and I got to see what I can do about the state inspection thing, because I think it's time for that to go.
Right. Well, I'm
with you.
You
got another 15 minutes on your show, and I'm gonna let you go, and you go through your normal rant, and I'll explore how to get this on the ballot. You be sure and vote if it's on the ballot, Matt.
Absolutely.
I'm protecting you. I'm looking out for you. Like Elizabeth Warren, I'm fighting for you.
Oh, outstanding. All right. Thank you, Jeff. Dr. Jeff Kassel.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.